How's everyone doing? Lance Mannion here in beautiful Aortic. Look at this. Another great, beautiful day in Aortic, Arizona. Just hanging out here in the spring. And if you're expecting the normal hijinks of my normal videos, you're not going to get it. This one is more of an informative, serious video. As the title suggests, it's preparation for open heart surgery. For those of you who don't want to listen to it, it's very boring, then don't watch this video. But for those of you who are going to undergo this, you might find this informative. This is just my interpretation of what I did to prepare for it. And every situation is different, so keep that in mind as well. So anyways, here's some of the things that I did to prepare for open heart surgery. Okay, man, just took my last shower for a while. Enjoyed it. It's gonna be about 10 days or so before I can really get a good shower. Did a little shaving. Don't know when I'm gonna be able to shave again. Tomorrow at this time, there's gonna be a big scar right here. So, all right, man, it's gonna happen. Okay, so what I'm gonna be talking about today is basically just some of the things that I had to prepare for with going through open heart surgery. Remember, I'm not a doctor. Everyone's situation is different. They're all individual situations. I'm in excellent condition. I had done triathlons and different endurance sports throughout my life, basketball, you name it. And I was always in good condition, eating well. So I never had any problems with blockages or anything like that. A lot of people who have to have heart valve replacements have problems in these other areas. And those often dictate that they need to have it done. Mine was a genetic defect. Well, not a genetic defect, it was just genetics. My aorta, which is the place where the blood comes out of the heart, was enlarged, and that was genetically, which was creating the valve to get bigger and bigger and then cause leaks. So if it wasn't for that genetic problem I had, my heart valve would have been fine and there would have been no issues. But because this was happening, it was slowly over time getting worse. I eventually had to schedule aortic valve replacement and an aortic root replacement as well to fix the root, and that's what I needed. So I knew about this for 15 or so years, that this was going to be a potential thing I had to go through, but you don't really think about it until you are told by a doctor, yeah, you need to do this or else you could be in trouble down the road. So the first thing that you should do when you find out, a lot of you are going to find out different ways. You're either going to be like me, they're going to tell you eventually you're going to have it done, but most likely you had some kind of incident, blockage, a heart attack, something like that made you get to this point where you have to prepare for open heart surgery. And a lot of times you don't really have a lot of preparation. If it's an emergency, you only have a couple of days, or maybe even they rush you to the hospital. But in my case, I had plenty of time, many months to think about it. And the first thing that you should do is understand what the problem is, why you have to have this done, and then you have to basically figure out what you have to do to make this procedure go as smoothly as possible. And a lot of times you pretty much have already done it by eating healthy or exercising like I have. If you haven't done that, then you're behind the 8 ball a little bit. Now that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you can't overcome this. You have to mentally prepare yourself, because you really can't worry about things you can't control. And the things you can't control is the actual surgery itself. There are trained medical professionals, the doctors. They do it 2 or 3 times a week. An aortic valve replacement, or valve replacement in general, is something that's fairly common now. And the only problem is they have to open you up, and that's what creates the problems afterwards. You have to recover from that trauma of having your bones cut open and your chest pried apart as well as just the repair of the heart itself. First things first, you have to prepare yourself to be very patient. It's going to take a little while for you to get back to what you were doing. You're going to have all the initial hospital stay, what you do immediately when you get home, what you're going to do for months after that. Right now, at the shooting of this video, it's about 4 months after my open heart surgery. I rode my bike today for 20 miles. I did it in about an hour, so I went about 20 miles an hour. Back in the day, I would be kind of a slow, short ride, but for me, that was a great exercise today. I'm getting my heart back into shape, and I know that eventually I'll be able to get back to doing the things I did before. Part of the problem I had was I didn't really notice that there was a lot of any problems because I was 35 when I initially heard about this, and as I continued to do my Ironman and triathlons and different things like that, I was training pretty hard. It wasn't until recently that I started to curtail some of those activities, and I am getting older. I was in my 50s, so I figured I didn't really notice that there was any problems with any kind of things with my heart. Just because I thought, well, I'm getting older, I'm not training like I used to, and that's natural. You're just not going to have the same kind of thing. So I really didn't know. There was no bells that were ringing or buzzers that were going off saying, hey, there's a problem. And so my cardiologist, and just following up every 6 months, every year, that's the only thing that alerted me to this. Otherwise, this could happen to anyone, and some people just drop dead because they just don't get checked. And I really suggest that you go to a cardiologist, get this thing checked out, because you never know what could happen to you. You don't know what's going on with your heart. You could feel great one moment things are going bad. Step number 1 is find out what's wrong with you. Step number 2 is get a second opinion. And step 3, I would say, is prepare for your surgery by maintaining a positive attitude and only worry about the things you can control. And like I said, the things you can't control are the surgery itself and the things that the medical professionals are doing. You have to just let them do it, and then your job is after the surgery is to recover, and you have to figure out what you need to do at that point. And I'm going to come up with a part 2 of this recovery from aortic valve surgery coming up shortly, and then I will talk to you more about those things. But like I said, the top things are just prepare for the things that you can control, and that's basically just keeping a positive attitude and maintaining a lot of patience. You're basically going to, for 5 weeks, you're pretty much just going to be in recovery initially, and then after 5 weeks, you're going to go back to your normal daily things, where it just gets better and better. It gets better and better every day after you have it. So like I said, I was scheduled on November 20th, and I went in the day before. I was scheduled to go in the day before to get an angiogram, which is where they look and see if there's any blockages, because they want to just basically see if they're going to be in there, they're going to fix everything. They're not going to open you up again and say, oh, we missed something. They want to know exactly what they need to do. In my case, there was no blockages, so that was a plus. So anyways, I'm getting ready to go to the hospital. My mom's here to pick me up. Got my overnight bag. I'm ready to go, and the phone rings. Okay, so headed to the hospital right now for the angiogram. But right before I got in the car, I got a phone call from the heart surgeon's assistant, and she said that the heart surgeon was in emergency surgery all night last night, and he's going to have to postpone the surgery. So now I've got to wait till a week, about another 9 days. So anyway, so that's what's going on with that. So I'm going for the preliminary tests, and then I'll have the surgery a week from this Friday. So another curveball. So they ended up making me still go to the hospital for my angiogram. I went in, they put all the IVs in me, hooked me all up, sedated me, went in through the groin, and they basically ran like a wire that goes all the way to your heart to see if there's any blockages and shoot dye into you. And then they can look at a screen to see if there's anything blocking. And everything was fine. However, when I came home, that angiogram is something that's pretty significant. It did hurt, and my leg had to be straight for several days. You can't drive for about 48 hours after you get an angiogram, so keep that in mind. You do need someone to drive you around, so chances are you're not going to go to work if you get an angiogram. That was going to be part of just the recovery process, because the next day was going to be the open heart surgery. So I had to basically recover from my angiogram for a week before my surgery. Now, the second time I went back, I didn't have to go through the angiogram or anything like that, but I did go in the day before for some testing. At the time, COVID-19 was a big thing. They wanted to make sure I was healthy enough to go through the surgery and didn't have COVID. And then they're just doing some other baseline tests with blood work. Then they also taught me how to basically do the breathing exercises and the things I was going to have to do after. Just like I said, this is the stuff I can control, so I was paying attention to what I had to do afterwards. I checked into the hospital that day, and then I went home. It's kind of like a cruise ship. I went off the boat, and then the next day I could just come in and get scanned in, which was really good because I didn't have to go through a lot of stuff. I could just go right in at 6 in the morning, the day of the surgery. Surgery was scheduled about 7:30. So the only problem is they had to hook me back up to all the IVs. They had to put a catheter in your neck. That's where they can pump in morphine and all kinds of different drugs that they're going to get you and it'll go into you right away. So I had to go through all that again. But the day before, they basically make you wash with a special soap, and it gets all the chemicals off you. They don't want to have any deodorant, perfume, or anything extra on your body, like shampoo. They just want you to be basically free of any kind of contaminants. And then so the next day they'll be able to, start fresh with you, if you will. So the morning of, I went into the hospital, and it gets real when they give you that bag to put all your personal effects in, your wallet, your cell phone, and you're taking your clothes off and you're in that hospital gown. And when they start hooking you up and you're hooked up and you're laying in that bed, you start to go, oh, wow, this is really happening. And like I said, you keep a positive attitude. I always had the positive attitude. I didn't think anything bad was going to happen. Okay, 5 in the morning, getting ready to head to the hospital. Had a pretty good night's sleep. Woke up about 4:15 on my own. And that's it, it's time. I'm ready for this, and really not worried too much about it. And it's going to be pretty much over before I know it, and then I just got to deal with the recovery. Here we go. Okay, let's try this again. And I saw the lady who was helping me with the IVs and stuff. It turns out she went to the high school down the street from me, and graduated like the same year I did 30 years ago. And we were talking about friends, common friends in the neighborhood and stuff, so that was kind of a pleasant surprise, and that took my mind off the impending surgery, and so that was really good for me. And then, of course, I was making jokes with the doctors and all the people in the operating room. And basically, they say, okay, we'll see you after surgery. I said, okay, have a good surgery. I appreciate everything you're doing for me. And it was lights out. Recap, find out what's wrong with you. Number 2, find out how are they going to fix it. Some people like to stick their head in the sand and not know what they're going to do to you. I went on YouTube. I pulled up all the videos of exactly what they're going to do to me. I watched the saw come out. I know it's pretty bad, but hey, you know what? I need to know what's happening to me. That's just me. It might not be for you. 3 is keep a positive attitude and only worry about the things you can worry about. And 4, just listen to their instructions of what you need to do the week of and the day before surgery. So that's pretty much it. That's how I prepared for it. I hope this helped you out if you're getting ready to go through it. And remember, video number 2, part 2, will be the recovery period that I went underwent. And like I said, I'm 4 months out. I think I look pretty good. And I'm back to normal. I don't even know if anything happened to me at this point. So, all right, see you on video number 2.